Hello, everybody. Nice to have all of you here. Nice to have all of you here, and we are live. Let me check everything. It's all right. Move the chat here. I'll give time for people that have an ad to have the ad go through before it all starts officially. And this is okay. Going to position this here like this. Make things a little bigger. A little bigger. And here we go. So everything looks okay. Welcome, everyone, to this Saturday edition of the Shortwave Show. And of course, we are here twice a week to talk about radio of any kind, AM, FM, shortwave, longwave, anything radio that you wish to talk about. We do focus a lot on shortwave, but anything radio is welcome and kind of cool to be here. Show today will be a little shorter than usual. I want to go through the full 3 hours that I usually do because I have a little something going on with my nephew later on. We'll be kind of celebrating both our birthdays. My nephew Gabriel had his birthday on March 12th, and my birthday is tomorrow. So we're kind of doing a let's celebrate our birthday together. We're going to do some eat sushi, drink, and play video games and all sorts of things that we usually do when we get together. So it's going to be my little fun evening. And so the show is going to be about 2 hours, not much more than that today because of that. But we'll be back to normal next week with the regular shows. Nice to be here. Nice to have everybody on board. And it's always cool to be here, talk about radio, and just have a lot of fun. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We are here twice a week on UT Thursday, 0 hours UTC. That is Wednesday evening, North America, around 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're also here on Saturday at 20 hours Universal Time. That is 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Talk about radio and have fun. A lot of people think radio is dead, radio is extinct, nothing on the radio anymore. Well, I can tell you that a bunch of guys here, including me, are going to tell you there's a lot more than you think on the radio, and you just gotta, make sure that you do it in the right way because there are things making radio a little more complex today than, of course, in the past, including mostly, I think the first big problem, the noise level around us. So that's one of the big problems of, and I think when a lot of people say there's nothing on shortwave, I think that's one of the things that they didn't take into account. I'd be curious if, would I think about that today if I was, say, I'd stopped listening to shortwave in the 80s and come back today, would the noise level be something I'd be thinking about first? I don't think so. I would probably be confronted with the fact that there's a lot of noise because I see it and my knowledge helps me to see it on my radio. But imagine somebody that doesn't know anything gets that radio on and hear static and what's different, what's static is static when you're listening to shortwave and there's no station on. When there's low noise, there's still that background static. What makes a difference between that background static and today's static, apart from the fact that sometimes it sounds weird because of the electronics? But let's put it at a basic level of somebody that doesn't really understand that. There could be some interference from all sorts of things around us. And you end up with somebody turning on a radio, not realizing that the noise level is very high, tuning around the dial, hearing a few stations, maybe nothing, and thinking, well, there's nothing on shortwave anymore, or this thing doesn't work. That is definitely something that probably happens more than we think. So this place is for that. We are going to show you that, yeah, there's stuff out there, but we just got to work it a little harder. We just got to, sometimes move away from our houses, move away from where we want to listen to. Like I often say, the armchair listening that we had when in the 80s with just the telescopic, for a lot of us, that's not the way we can do it today. We got to do it in a different way, because we might not have that reception we had because of the high noise. So, but we got to deal with it. But we got a bunch of people here. I'm going to tell you, there's still a lot on shortwave, more than you think. We have a chat room, which is fantastic place where you can exchange with others, have fun with others. This is a welcoming place. If you are new to the hobby, I think you're at the best place in the world for anybody to want to start. You're with a bunch of guys that not only love radio, but love the fact that somebody new gets into the hobby with a new radio, and we help him out. And that person, I got an email this week actually. Um, the guy is 21 years old and has his first shortwave receiver. He decided to get a Texan PL330, and he actually is super happy because of the videos that I made and a few videos with the Texan PL330. It kind of gave him a hint of, okay, where to tune for stuff, where to find the stuff. And he learned quite fast from some of my videos. Yeah, moving away and going somewhere in a park. So he was telling me that he went to a local park that's not very far from where he is, and was amazed that the ETM scan feature that he loves got so many stations. And you just couldn't believe that with a small little radio, he was hearing signals from really far away. One of them that kind of struck him, he stumbled upon the African Pathways radio broadcast in English. And when he actually looked at schedules to see where it comes from, he couldn't believe at first that just with the radio and a little telescopic antenna on it, that it was hearing a signal from Madagascar. And he looked twice because he thought, no, that can't be. That must be one of those relays from WRMI. And he actually, in the email, he asked me to confirm that he was really listening to a signal from Madagascar. And I said, yes, you are. You are. You are listening to a signal that is more than 10,000 kilometers away from where you live. I think that made his day. And when we talk about the excitement, what does, because that's a tough one to explain. What makes somebody go nuts like we are on radio when somebody else looks at us and we look weird and we're listening to static, and what the hell are we doing? I think that's very unique to our personality, our curiosity, and our understanding also that you got this little box with electronics in it, works on batteries, and you're in the middle of nowhere and you're getting this signal that's 10,000 kilometers away. There's an amazement here. It's like, wow, I can't believe I'm getting something from so far away so easily, also, which kind of shows us a lot of things. When the signal is sent in the right direction, and the transmitters are properly maintained, and the frequencies are well chosen, it's easy to actually get signals from shortwave. And the lack of shortwave in North America doesn't have anything to do with, because a lot of people, I think, mix both of them. The fact that we had weak solar cycles, a lot of people have the impression, well, that's why I don't hear anything. No. The solar cycle has, of course, an advantage in certain frequencies and certain signals. but I always say it's overhyped because some of the best DX I had was in the low part of solar cycles. What I mostly will say is no, don't look at solar activity as being why you don't hear that many stations anymore. Look at the fact that in North America, particularly, a lot of stations aren't broadcasting towards us anymore. Why was it good in the 80s? It wasn't just the solar cycle like a lot of people think. It's everybody was broadcasting to North America. If you were on shortwave, you were broadcasting to North America. But anyways, it was fun to have that email, and we are a great gang. So if you're in the chat room, don't hesitate to ask any question. We are a amazing gang of people that are here to help everyone. Everybody's welcome. Another email that I've got a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot to mention it. Someone that has a so he's got some learning difficulties, and he wanted to say thank you because he was in the chat room a few times, and he doesn't want me to mention his name because I know his name by heart, but just wanted to don't like don't mention who I am. And one of the things that he likes is that even though sometimes his writing skills or his way of interacting is weird and might seem weird for people, as he mentions it, he says, nobody makes me feel different. And no, you're not. We're all, we are, we are. We are all, we're all weird in a way. I'm the number one weirdo here. I have to be doing these things. Uh, I think that also is something that, it's understandable. We're not all born in an equal way, and we have to understand that and understand that whoever you are, from the smart ass that knows everything and understands everything, like this, to somebody that struggles to learn about whatever subject, whatever new hobby, much more than the average. Well, we won't make you feel different. We won't make you feel like you're, get out of here. It's too complicated. It's no, absolutely not. Stay here. Ask that question 10 times. It's part of the game. It doesn't matter. We all are welcoming everybody here. As long as, it's sincere and we see and we realize that, you know, you are here and you want to have fun with us, and you are totally welcome. You are absolutely welcome. And it's integration of everybody, whoever you are. And this is the first mission of, not only we want to have fun with radio, we want to make sure that everybody's in it with us, whoever you are. The chat room, when all of this is over, there's a Facebook group which has the same name as the YouTube channel, official SWL channel. The Facebook group has around 2,500 members, and we continue to party there. You can share, you can ask questions, you can post what you're listening to, whatever. Show your new shiny radio, or maybe show us one of the old radios you're using and that you've been using for 40 years. That's your main shortwave receiver. I say that all the time. You got a good old shortwave radio. You don't need to invest in a new one. It won't get more signals. You're going to pretty much get everything we get. Yeah, there's new bells and whistles and new little things that make today's receivers, and some of them particularly good at what they are supposed to do. But if you got, one question that I got asked a long time ago, and it from someone was, I got a Sony ICF 2010. Should I get, a Texan H501X? Would that be better? And my simple answer is, you've got a great radio there. If it works good, you don't need a new radio. You won't get on a Texan H501X something you're not getting on the Sony. You're going to hear the same signals. The H501X has extras that make it superior in some way, and the multiple bandwidths help out. But overall, no, it's okay. Your radio's fine, and if you learn how to use it properly, and if it's well aligned and works well, because one of the biggest problems of receivers, I think, over time is mostly the fact that capacitors can run out or have problems, or the electronics can kind of move away from the prime settings or the prime performance, the peak performance it was made when it got out of the factory. But overall, if your radio works well, you got a great radio, and you can listen to whatever we're going to listen to in a show or whatever. You don't have to buy a new radio to get into the hobby. Your old radio probably is fine and doing the same thing. If you want to have a new radio, that's another story, because a lot of us are kind of hooked on radios and start buying maybe a little more radios than the average. A little. But it's a great place to be. So the Facebook group is where everything continues. So welcome aboard, everyone. We want to mention something that's coming up in not very long, actually. So next week we will have our 2 shows, regular shows, but we'll have something very unique and very special next week. So next week, on the Sunday, March 27th, at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, that's 19 UTC, we will have a Zoom meeting. So that Zoom meeting is going to be a great way to meet people, to meet you guys, to see maybe your faces. And this is going to be great. It's not replacing the live shows. It's not a live show. It's a meeting. It's like we will all be in together, and we will be able to interact. Some with video. If you have a camera, want to show your face, you're welcome. Your camera is shy. You don't want to. You don't want to. You don't want to show your face. It doesn't matter. You don't have to. You'll be able to just be there with audio if you want only audio and don't want to show your face. It doesn't matter. Okay, guys? But it'd be fun to have an interaction and have all of us together in there. We're at something like 109 from the latest number I've seen that Sheldon gave me. So this Zoom meeting is in collaboration with the Canadian International DX Club, thanks to Sheldon Harvey, which I really appreciate. It's a little experiment. And if you guys want to join in and, have fun with us, what you have to do is register in advance so that we know who you are. We ask a registration in advance simply because we want to make sure that, it's safe and we know who's going to be there. Avoid, it's kind of a security way of keeping things up. It's totally free. All you have to do is put your name, your email, and the Zoom meeting registration link is here. Fine. We're going to be a great gang of people. We're going to learn a little more about each other, who we are, and no stress. You don't want to be on camera. It's fine. Join and see another side of who we are. I see you guys in the chat room. You guys know all about me. I'm here all the time, 3 hours, times 2 every week, if not more. You guys know a lot more. You guys know who I am pretty much. But it's going to be fun to know maybe a little more of who you guys are. And I think it's going to be a fun experiment to have all of you in that meeting. So join. It's free, it's fun, and it's happening on Sunday, March 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 19 UTC. And just want to say cheers to everybody, by the way. Before I forget, I'm going to check out the email, see who is here. We have Richard Lemke saying birthday greetings. And he says, from a spring-like day. Here it's been raining a lot today, and we had like 17, 18 degrees Celsius on Thursday. It was my first time out in the balcony with radios at the sun. It was like really cool. It was a really nice spring day. So welcome, Richard Lemke from St. Albert, Alberta, Canada. And thanks for the birthday wishes. Nice to have you here as usual. So that is through email. Of course, we have our chat room. Wonderful people. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. James in Ottawa, VA3JPX, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess, WA5107SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Laura Robertson, nice to have you here from Italy. I3/KO4DFJ. Paul in Vermont, nice to have you here. AA1SU, VT Radio. Jeff King from Jacksonville, Florida, nice to have you here. We have Robert Cross, nice to have you on board. JJH, nice to have you here from Lake Michigan. And we have, of course, MDK2 Matt in Denver, Colorado. We have Terry Cook, nice to have you here from Western Montana, KF7BQ. Rob in Phoenix, Arizona, nice to have you on board. Mitch, nice to have you here from Buckeye, Arizona. We have René Charbonnier and Radio Classic Sunday. And let's give a round of applause and a congratulations to our friend René. That is officially Papa Delta 3 Romeo Kilo Delta. A new ham operator passed his test last week. And welcome to the hobby of amateur radio from Victor Echo 2, Zulu Zulu, India. We have Archer's Out of Crafter's Kitchen from Massachusetts. Nice to have you here. We have Robert Cross setting up his Shortwave 77. So this is cool. Nathan Phillips Connors, nice to have you here. Gary 24 Fan, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Robert Osborne. Is Joel what? Missing in action? Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec. And gotta make myself look good. I gotta be beautiful for the camera. That doesn't require much. It's there was a discussion on one of the podcasts, the video podcast the tech podcast that I have every week, and the guy doing the podcast, somebody says, "You're wearing makeup for that HD camera?" And the guy says, "I used to when I was younger, but now I'm old enough. Who cares?" I guess I'm at that moment now. It's like, who cares? Eyebrawler, nice to have you here from Northeast Arkansas. We have Kamagzi 1976 from West Michigan, 41 Fahrenheit. Luigi, bonsoir. J'espère que ça va bien en France. Nice to have you on board, Luigi. DJW883 from Southeast Pennsylvania. Nice to have you on board. Warm 70-degree Fahrenheit. That's cool. Perfect weather for radio outdoors. Hugo, nice to have you here. Hugo from Southern California. Andrew Simpson from England. Brad from Texas. Nice to have you here. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue depuis Lyon en France. J'espère que ça va bien. Toujours un plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous. Really nice to have everybody here. Let's go to here. No problem, Matt. Be here when you can. Can't expect everybody to be here all the time. I mean, you guys have lives other than radio and viewing Jill all the time. Christopher, nice to have you here from UK. Radio Week Signal. Work. Nice to have you on board. K7LNP from Utah. Bruce, family is important. Nice to have you here. Bruce Corbett. Fast Load, nice to have you here from Montreal. Thanks for the birthday wishes, guys. Your sister, Gary 24 fans, sister is also tomorrow. The funniest part of my birthday is I actually know personally of 4 people that have the same birthday as I am. It's like one of those weird, I don't know, some kind of weird wormhole or something that where we met, and it's like someday we talk about birthdays. It's like, oh, you're on the 20th also? Really? Okay. It's kind of weird, we don't usually know a lot of people around us that have the same birthday as we are, but I actually know 4 guys, and it's like, whoa, okay. So thanks for the birthday wishes, everybody. Ivan Stano, what radio is the best shortwave experience for 80 to $100? Texan PL 330 is a great experience for shortwave. Small little portable, but powerful, does it all, has single sideband. If you wish to have something like airband, maybe you'd like to listen to your local airport, then you could go to something like an XH Data D808 or Ceodon D808. You could also look at that price range. Maybe it's a little off, a little higher, but a Texan PL 660, 680 will have airband and has the advantage of being a good old PLL receiver that doesn't have muting when you tune around, which that could be a big problem if you're looking for a non-muting receiver. But there's a lot of receivers in that range that are pretty darn amazing. So pretty cool. Yes, it's my firewall to make sure that Russia doesn't hack into the live show. Fast load. What else do we have? Like Brad says, Texan PL330 is an amazing one. RJD Dakota, nice to have you on board from Missouri. I was watching videos of Cat Pusick and now here. Okay. F1 Sushi, nice to have you on board. Fully endorse a sushi meal. Yeah, pretty much the only time I eat sushi is with my nephew. I don't know a lot of people that actually like sushi, so we kind of do it, when we meet up. We were maybe like wanting to cook something, but it's like he text messaged me and it's like, I don't feel like doing dishes, so I think we're gonna eat sushi. It's like perfect, no problem there, nothing obligated. First day of spring tomorrow, yes, absolutely, or fall if you're at the other side of the equator. If you're on the other side of the equator, you are of course going into fall, so you guys are going to winter. I was actually seeing a news thing that was saying that Australia kind of really had a darn hot summer this year, worse than the previous years, actually. Art Dodd, nice to have you here. Art K2ADC in New Jersey. Christian Marcoux, resalut. Nice to have you here. And of course, a few of you have been in the CIDX Zoom meeting today, which was very interesting. We had an excellent discussion on broadcasting and radio in general. It was really, really nice. Jetcrafter from Southern Maine. Nice to have you here. Brent, nice to have you here. VE3GXD in Brockville, Ontario. And thank you for the birthday wishes. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Nice to spend time with the nephew. Absolutely, absolutely. We don't see each other that much, so it's kind of it's gonna be kind of cool. It's gonna be kind of cool. David KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board. Got Static in My Attic on Channel Z. What else do we have? Boyd, nice to have you on board. And yes, we are radio nerds. Anthony Friends, nice to have you here. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Jim's Radio Check 13630 has the pop radio show at the moment, which is China via Mali transmitter site. 45 unit, nice to have you on board. 85 and humid in Florida. And I guess that's going to be more and more what's going to happen in the next few weeks as we get back into our summer and spring and into summer. What else do we have? Our JDA Dakota, things do evolve. I have to do things a little bit differently. Noise is incredible. Absolutely. Cool Icon, nice to have you here. And from New York. And 6RLS, Robin, nice to have you on board after having you on the CIDX Zoom from Berkeley, California. Chuck, nice to have you here. Chuck, N5 KVO from South Texas, sunny and 89. Gabrielle, nice to have you on board from Uruguay. Anthony is in Port Richey, Florida. Greg, nice to have you on board and wants to get a Texan PL 660. Yeah, you don't have a good radio with the PL 660, honestly. David, KJ4CMY 15, 17, and 10 were quite active today. Well, I was on the Zoom meeting, a CIDX Zoom meeting. I was actually on the AirSpy HF Plus here. And on 17, there was a Russian ham. Radio Delta, something like Radio Delta 3 Alpha Victor, something like that, is Romeo Delta 3 Alpha Victor, I think was his call. And so it was kind of interesting to see a Russian ham. And, considering I listened in for a while, I was wondering if someone would, out of the blue, just kind of give him crap over the fact of what's happening with, Russia and Ukraine. But everybody was kind of very polite. So, but 17 meters, it's kind of you know what? The warg bands like 17, I find are more polite and interesting than some of the big gun bands that have been there all the time, like 20. Zen Pharaohs following along with the R8, which is a Drake R8, AirSpy HF Plus Discovery, and Antenna Toys. Slice of apple pie with whipped cream and a glass of chocolate milk. That sounds pretty good, actually. Andy New, nice to have you here from the UK, M7CUN. Hallen, nice to have you on board from UK, M6RFO. Luc, VA2HET. Salut, Luc, Lafrenière. Nice to have you here from Quebec, Canada. Tom DXer, WP2QED. Nice to have you here from Hudson Valley, New York. Any new? Does anybody know where I can get an adapter to connect my MLA30 to PL990 or H501? Tried everywhere, but I could only find an adapter where to SMA is too big. So you need a SMA female to 1/8 adapter, 1/8 audio type adapter. That is, there's some on eBay that you can get easily. If I go here, I'm just gonna find the ebay.com. You'll get some on eBay. I put Arbay. What the hell is Arbay? eBay. Let's find a link for you. SMA female. SMA female to 1. And here we go. So there's one here, which is from Canada, and another one from Germany. I'm going to actually give you the link from the one from Canada here. Oh, it says last one. The guy doesn't have much. Let me find. I found one where you could just easily. I don't know if anybody has a link that you can get. I had one which was kind of easy one. I'm not logged in, so it doesn't get the same stuff that I usually get. So what you want is SMA female to 3.5 millimeter mono. I'll give you a link of what you need. It's something like this, and just check it out. You'll find on eBay. You'll find some of those. It's really just search for SMA female to 3.5 millimeter mono or 1/8 stereo. It doesn't matter if it's mono stereo. By the way, it works anyways. And this is the adapter. Here it is. So here's one link. The guy says there's only one left, so the guy doesn't have much. But you'll be able to find some there. I believe I've seen some on Amazon also. Of course, you can make one yourself, but if you want to have it already done, that is, I would say, the only thing that the MLA30 is missing that would be great is a set of adapters. You know, even if they'd sell it $10 more, if they'd have a set of adapters for all the different styles of antenna plugs, man, that would be the ultimate MLA30 package. But I believe Amazon has, so Jim's Radio Check says go on Amazon and they have them. So what you want to have is really SMA female to 3.5 millimeter. So thanks for Matt to sharing also. So here we go. A great community of help. I got Thief. Yes. What else do we have? Glenn, nice to have you here. James M. from Prospect, Connecticut. Sons of skip on 11 meters. Going to try my DXing 31MS tonight. See if conditions hold up on shortwave tonight. Right now, they're pretty good, I got to say. Gary 24 fan, I'm on the weird boat with usual, especially with my music collection. I think we all have that. We all have that little side of us. It's a little weird. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you on board. Hello. Matt says, definitely hearing more on the higher bands right now. The middle bands are rather devoid of signals. No REE 9690. Yep, on the 27th, Sunday the 27th, the same day as our Zoom meeting, we have a change, the schedule change, and REE, Radio Exterior de España, will probably be moving to 17855 like they did last summer, I would guess. Kevin, nice to have you here. And Paul will bring back a mouse tonight. Nice to have you on board, Kevin. Bob, nice to have you here. VE3088SWL. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Christopher, I think I have found the cheapest digital readout portable shortwave radio in the market. Prunus L258. Performance is surprising. There's a few of them that I can't, like when mine, the battery exploded in it. But when I had the Tivdio V115, although it's a noisy electronic device, but for the, the fact that for $20, you not only have a shortwave radio, you got an AM FM shortwave radio with a MP3 recorder, which is just truly amazing for $20. Here, the FM breakout from the FM stations was making it impossible to use. It was noisy in the electronics, but people that live in a different place where it's more, there's no FM breakthrough and all of that, I think a lot of people are surprised at the performance of that little radio. It's crazy when you think about it, how with such a small amount of money, you get a package that works and does it all. Don't be sorry because you're late, Glenn. That's all right. KB9IN. Uncle Justin, nice to have you on board. KB2RMC. What else do we have? What else do we have? Alan just bought a Texan 2000. Steve 2EOWZL, nice to have you on board. Says also suffer with learning difficulties. I always thought I would never be able to pass my ham radio license, but everyone was extremely supportive and the determination I succeeded. That's the way to go. It was something that I did definitely see when I went through my ham license, that there were quite a few people struggling and wondering if they'll ever be able to pass their test because of different types of difficulties and learning. One was had autism, and he said that he had difficulty because he was like kind of always focusing on a very specific thing, very narrow, and he said he couldn't see like the big picture, which made it more difficult for him. But you just keep at it, and people that are in the hobby that are nice and that want you to succeed are definitely there to help, and they're going to be there to help you to succeed. And it's great. That's great. You got your ham license. Congratulations. What else do we have? Yeah, lightning can do bad things to radio. Absolutely. And Matt, MTK2 hearing all kinds of stuff, 26.5 megahertz. Lots of CB. It was funny because I tuned 25 megahertz. Let me go here. So now it's back. So this is 25 megahertz. Let me just put my earphones here. This is 25 megahertz WWV on my Texan H501X. When I started the show, just about 10 minutes before it was coming in as strong as it is now, it then dropped almost instantly to zero, and there was nothing for the up to the live show. Now I'm checking and it's back, so I don't know. So maybe something happened on the sun briefly. Christopher, Parrot radio stations, and you're very active. Yeah, I go on the SDRs. Go on the SDRs. Hey, Tom DXer, leave the Greg's messages. It's all right. There's no problem there. Greg is a great guy. Don't need to block his messages. There's a poll. Sheldon was actually showing me one of the poll in the SDRs and also the U20. And man, there's so much happening with pirates and music on some of the known military frequencies of Russia. There's like all sorts of pirates and music and stuff going on. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, 7200 Jim's radio check is one of those bad ham frequencies for sure. John Beckham, nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. Jum Hummel Newell, nice to have you here. VE5JHN. Sun shining, snow is melting. Cool. I'm going in the right direction here. Soon, radio outdoors, walk in the park videos, and maybe Perry Island. What else do we have? Just Van Dalen, nice to have you here. Merci pour les souhaits d'anniversaire. Nice to have you here. Alejandro, nice to have you here from Manchester, UK. Marvin Motts, nice to have you here from China. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? But don't worry, Tom DXer. Greg is one of those that we talked about has a little more difficulty, and we'll repeat many times. It's all right. It's all right. As long as it's radio, there's no problem there. He's been here for a while in the past weeks, so he's a good guy. Don't worry. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? Let me just get here. Okay, so this is good. Bill Curry and 8UUP, nice to have you here. Catalin, nice to have you here. DE1CTL. Paul and his female friend are actually sleeping in the bedroom. They're really going well. Very happy cats. Joe Spring, nice to have you here from Milton, Florida. Thank you. Comment ça s'appelle sur Facebook? You mean the group? Le groupe. So the group on Facebook is Official SWL Channel. I'll give the link here to our group on Facebook for those that want to have the link, direct link. Here's the Facebook group. Great place where people are very polite and very nice for the Official SWL Channel. Richard, nice to have you here. Zachary Owens, nice to have you here. We have, let's try to, what else do we have? No, I'm a Pisces. I don't really believe in anything about that, but I'm a Pisces. You know, as a guy that loves astronomy, what I find extremely funny of astrology is when there's like, well, we have the moon in Virgo and the sun is in Pisces, and you're like, are you aware that using maps where these are not exactly what's happening now, and that those maps are like outdated from like 2,000 years ago? But anyways, that's the way it is. I'm not, it's okay. I find it, when I did my tech duties, one of my clients was a astrologer. She was getting calls on one of those 1-900 lines, and she would do her stuff, and I would fix her computer, and I would look at her as like, she would take the cards out and do all sorts of things. And she would one day she looks at me and she says, what do you think of astrology? And I said, well, I don't really believe in any of that, but I said I respect people. You have to be politically correct. She's going to pay you for a tech job, so it's like I respect anybody that does it, and that's fine. And but it was like, I would look at her with her cards and stuff, and I was like, oh, please, come on. But that's me. What else do we have? Yeah, the Grande Geese on satellite. It's a little priced a little higher than what he was asking, though. Raymond, nice to have you here, Raymond from West York, UK. Nice to have you on board. So, hey, Bobby Burgess. Yeah, tomorrow, March 20th, my birthday. Nice to have you here. I'll be the big 5'3". Can't believe that when I moved here, I was 31. 31 when I moved here, and it's like now I'm 53. It's like, okay. And first time I did live shows was what, 2014, something like that, which means that I was, what, 2014 means it would be like 8 years. That means that I was 45. I do see a change in my and when you get older, you see a change definitely. But I look at myself. I was looking at for those that remember, I did a series of introduction to shortwave radio that were live and that I did in the living room with my old 50-inch TV and very bad lighting. Because I look at them and I'm like, oh God, it's very bad lighting. Um, and I look at myself and I'm like, oh wow, you change over time. And I, even worse than that, I got pictures from when I started going at the karaoke bar, where not far from here, and some of the pictures date from 2002, 2003, and I'm like, I look at them and I'm like, oh man, I was less fat and much younger. Oh God. China will not stop selling products to the US, that's for sure. It's their business. But what else do we have? Mike Leone. Do you start streaming the same time every week? I missed 28 minutes of your program. Yes, it's just that if you look at it, because what happens is we had a time change last week. So if you look at the live show as a local time for you, it's 1 hour later now because I have my live shows in UTC time. So if you look at UTC, it's always 0 UT or 20 hours UT. You know that's always there. But if you look at local time when you do the time change, and that maybe is why you're kind of wondering, the time change is making the show 1 hour later. Um, indicate too, if there's a good sushi bars where you live, it's great. When I lived in Seattle, pretty much every joint was awesome. In Denver, you have to be more selective. You got to be selective here too. It's not everybody that, because here you got these really. I called it the McDonald's of sushi, which are the fast food chains of sushi. They're okay for a quick bite because you don't have time, but it ain't the great sushi. There was one place not far from here that unfortunately is closed down that was amazing for sushi. But there's a few, Montreal has quite a few places that are just amazing for sushi. I can tell you that. There's actually a really cool Korean all you can eat downtown that I haven't had the occasion to go there in a long time. And their sushi is actually really good. Mad Max 2069, nice to have you on board from Ohio. Tom DXer, I share my birthday date with Paul Newman, Wayne Gretzky, General Douglas MacArthur, Bod Hooker, and Eddie Van Halen, and Ellen DeGeneres. Really? Wow. I share my birthday, I believe, with Celine Dion. So if I have to have a birthday with somebody that's very popular, I think Celine Dion is the same birthday. I'm not sure, and I won't put my hand in the fire here to prove it, but I'm not sure. I think she was, or very close. I'd have to ask the internets if anybody wants to check Celine's birthday. I don't really care about Celine, but David White, do any of the SDR system run off of power over Ethernet? None that I know of, honestly. If you're looking for something that takes power from Ethernet connectivity, like some devices can, I don't know any any of them that do actually. So What else do we have? Eric Cottrell, nice to have you on board. Foggy in Boston. Here it was raining for most of the day, but it seems to be a little quiet now. Just cloudy, like a gray Saturday. Jean-François, nice to have you on board. J'espère que ça va bien. À quel endroit, Jean-François? Just out of Mark, nice to have you on board from Wisconsin. Daniel, nice to have you here from Baltimore, Maryland, N3WJH. We have Paul would catch a bird. He fat like he is, I don't think he's going to catch a bird. Although, you never know. Paul Peters, nice to have you here from the UK. What else do we have? What you're better off doing is, because even if you put it far away, even that Ethernet cable can just drive the noise to it. The best is to have everything shielded. Greg Walker, why don't they make shortwave receivers that can receive DRM broadcast, and why is the digital format not used? Oops, sorry. Not used on the HF bands. DRM is like one of those things that it's a chicken and egg thing. It's why is DRM not popular? Because there's no radios. Why is there no radios? I don't know. And why is it not popular? Because there's no radios. It's like, So, first of all, DRM should have its own frequency ranges. They should have set aside. There are quite a few things that DRM is all about, and DRM should have had, before they got on, they should have said, okay, here are the frequency ranges for DRM. Why? First of all, DRM is a big nuisance in an international broadcast band. It's so wide that it will often, and I've seen many occasions where it did, interfere with stations that are close to it. We don't want that. That's interference. It's not a broadcast. So there should have been, first of all, a set of bands that DRM is going to be in here now. That should have been thought of before. Second, DRM, one of the problems with shortwave is the propagation, up and down propagation. DRM, like any digital format, when signal gets too weak or the signal to noise ratio gets, is problematic, what happens is that it just cuts off. So you're either listening to it or not listening to it. Where analog, you're going to listen to it if it's weaker. So there are a few things like that. So DRM, I'm not poo-pooing DRM, because some people are saying, well, you are a DRM hater, or I'm not. I'm a DRM hater the way they did it, and that it's being pushed way too hard for nothing. I still am amazed of all the broadcasters today that still think DRM is the future of shortwave. They are totally out of whack and don't understand that we have perfectly good radios and millions of them. And that, just as a example, you transmit DRM to Africa. Are you kidding me? Do you even understand who in Africa listens to shortwave? You think they're going to go get a DRM radio? Who are these people that just don't get it? That is where I have a hard time with DRM also. It's fine to have new formats and some digital tests of anything, but it has to be done in a way that DRM is not being done. Nobody wants to make, Nobody wants to make a DRM radio because it's an investment. You've got to invest into creating that radio first, which is a lot of money, then producing the radio and hoping it's going to sell. That's the other thing. And then you got to sell it, because it's going to be higher priced than a standard radio. You got to sell it with, oh, look, we got DRM. This is going to make shortwave sound like an FM, you know, or CD quality. Yeah. Have you seen the amount of DRM broadcasts on a schedule? It never was very high, although there were more before than now. And did you tell everybody that if your noise is just a little high, forget it, DRM is not even decoding. So, I'm not even successful here at decoding it because the noise level, I only get 2 out of 3 bars all the time. It's like I get ID, I get the information of the transmitter, I get all of that, never get audio. It just doesn't go far enough for the audio. I would have to be in the park and try it in the park where there's a lot less noise and probably there. And, that should be an experiment for me this summer. DRM from Perry Island or something. But it's not a good idea to try those things because it is important. It is important to have new technologies, even for shortwave radio. But I think it has to be designed differently. DRM is an evolving thing. There's like new, kind of a new DRM technology that can evolve from time to time that could be even better at, resolving the noise issue and all of that. But I think any station spending money saying, oh, we're going to change or adapt our transmitters for DRM, take that money and put it in your programmings and continue on shortwave. Our JD at Dakota, Redicus has come out with a new shortwave radio recorder. Uses a SD card and is quite large. I need to check that out. Dr. Sysop, 25 megahertz. Whee! Sheldon says 117 people registered for the Zoom meeting. Come on, guys. Let's go for 125. Let's beat 125 today. Come and join us for the Zoom meeting. It's going to be a lot of fun. For sure. PLF Radio, do you think there will be a few more international broadcast signals towards North America in the future? Or will it stay like what it is nowadays? I don't see the future of shortwave broadcasting increasing their take to North America necessarily. Except one thing. I look at voice of this is a good question. Me and Sheldon Harvey were talking about that when we recorded the international radio reports yesterday. The Voice of Mongolia is now on WRMI for North America, for the Americas on 5800, which is cool. Voice of Mongolia is pretty much an impossible task here in North America for most of us. But we were wondering who and how this decision came through. What did Voice of Mongolia decide? Who decided, oh, it's a great idea to have a relay for the Americas? How is this decided? Did WRMI reach out to them? It's kind of interesting. We were almost wondering, are they really paying for the relays? If there's more relays to North America, there'll definitely be, for the most part, paid through WRMI or whatever station that wants to actually broadcast them to North America here. It's, I think, a good idea, and it doesn't cost that much money to have their broadcast relayed. But I don't see stations because North America is not a center of shortwave broadcasting is being mostly focused on where it counts and where it's important. And where it counts and important, where there's conflicts, where it's difficult to have reliable internet or anything else. So Africa, Middle East, Asia, and now we see it with Russia and Ukraine, how many stations, including the BBC, Spain, and on all the others that have decided that, it's time to Vatican Radio to put more broadcasts towards Ukraine and Russia because Now that the media is blocked on the internet, it's the only way we can get news across these borders. So, but I don't, North America is not a target because North America is not, we're not in any kind of, we, even though the internet can be censored, we can't really say we are being censored, really. For me, censorship is much more than just, removing some right wing nut job guy from the internet. That's for me is not censorship necessarily. More of a cleanup. I think censorship begins where there's really a big fault of the type of news we're getting. You got to be careful because if a right wing nut job gets removed from the internet, of course, a lot of people will say, "Well, censorship." Let's be careful. Any nut job that wants to give his message across can do it as long as he does it in a correct way. We're not in a censorship um, world here in North America. We're more in a let's just make it politically correct in a way. Whereas the rest of the world is much more into we're going to cut off all the standard news outlets. You know, it's like if they would say, censorship for me would be let's block Fox News or CNN or one of these. Now that's you're starting to do censorship because you're starting to remove content that you might not be happy with, that might not be on your side, and now that's getting complicated. It's a very different thing from removing nut job number two from like that cries out for all the that says that everything is unfair and blah blah blah. We got to be careful in what we call censorship also. um so as long as that news in general is going through or nothing bad is happening, there's no reason for a lot of broadcasters to broadcast to us because they're going to say, well, you got all these outlets, you got the internet, you got a lot of things where you can get your news. You're not, there's nothing preventing you from really getting the news, unlike Ukraine and Russia right now. Jeffrey, back in the 80s, I used a Heathkit SW717. Great memories with that radio. I think a lot of us have a lot of great memories from the past with radio for sure. For sure. Okay, somebody's got Celine. March 30th. Okay, so 10 days. 10 days difference. I knew it was kind of close. It's the 30th for her. So, and she's the same age as I am. So no, she's 68. She's a year older actually. She's going to be 54 on March 30th. So she's a year older. I knew it was close, but I thought it was the same date, but I knew it was something close. I don't know why I talked about Celine Dion because I just don't care about Celine Dion. But anyways, that's life. The TR629. Okay, I'm gonna check that out. Reticus TR629. Huh. Bruce, gee, when I took my ham radio test, I had to go to the federal building downtown Chicago to take the test from the FCC. Yep. Did it online for mine. Erica Charles hearing 25 megahertz in Boston. What else do we have? Yep. Our Radio Romania. There's a few stations that Voice of Turkey, Radio Romania. They are broadcasting to North America, definitely. And there's a few stations that are relayed on WRMI that are relayed for North America, like Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia, Radio Tirana, and all of that. So there are definitely still some, So what else do we have? Danielle passed his amateur extra exam today. Cool. Congratulations, Daniel. That is cool. Greg, shortwave receiver died. Want to get PL660. Yeah. FM stereo is only through the earphones, though, but it has the airband. Milton Chip picked up a Angrangda RHRD 747. I compared it to the Texan PL330, and it compares very well. Picks up SSB and shortwave just as powerfully. I need to have one to test here because the 737 I have is crap and doesn't work. Here it's overloaded totally on all the frequency ranges with the FM stations. So I'm curious because I've seen a few of you having the 747. The only place I've seen it available is way too expensive for what it is. So I'm not buying it until I get a real decent price out of it. Carol, W7WXV, nice to have you on board from Central Oregon. Nice to have you here. Shelly, nice to have you here from Pennsylvania. What else do we have? What else do we have? Will Paul be a father soon? No, I think she's probably got neutered because I've been watching her for 3 years and she doesn't get any heat or anything, so she's not capable. And Paul is neutered also, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of kids coming out of there. So David White, astrologers are dead to make fortune tellers look good. The MW2 Informer, agreed. It doesn't make any sense to me personally. Yeah, you know. Oh, God. Danielle Marc LeBlanc, nice to have you here from New Brunswick, Canada. Greg Lamatrice, nice to have you here from Columbus, Ohio. Pretty cool. Any suggestion, good listening frequencies for airband? If you mean the airband on the HF band, there's a lot of good frequencies in the if you tune around the different, if you just Google shortwave HF airband frequencies and go in there, you'll hear New York and Gander, Newfoundland air traffic control quite a lot and very easily in New Brunswick for sure. If you're talking VHF, that's more of you capable of answering that question because now VHF airband is it's line of sight. So it depends on the airports around you. Robert Cross, what age were you when you touched your first shortwave radio? Technically, I was probably around 11 or 12 because my father had a multi-band receiver. And what happened is that I just didn't know what SW1, SW2 was on the band, on the dial. I don't even remember what brand it was. I remember there was the top that you opened that had the world map on it. And it was a multi-band. It had AM, FM, SW1, SW2 with shortwave, which I had no idea what it was. And it had VHF low and VHF high. And I remember hearing all sorts of weird things on the SW1, SW2, wondering what it was. I remember hearing airplanes on a VHF band. But the problem is that it was one of those multi-band radios that, the VHF airband is AM mode, but those radios were FM, and they would not have AM mode for that band. It would just use the FM. So you would hear them still, but you'd hear them kind of distorted a little bit, although you'd still hear them. And I remember the first time my next door neighbor couldn't believe we could hear airplanes. And I remember putting that multi-band radio on the frequency, and he's like, hearing, this is Air Canada 246. And it's like, hey, you're hearing planes. Yeah, I am hearing planes. I'm not kidding when I say I'm hearing airplanes. I heard the Montreal police for the first time on that radio, because back then in 1980-ish, it was the Montreal police was on VHF around 154 megahertz, somewhere around there, around 52, 153 megahertz. That was where the Montreal police was before they moved to the UHF frequencies later. So that was technically my first touch of shortwave, not knowing what it is. Ignorant as a 12-year-old that has no idea what that is. I remember tuning that SW1, SW2 band and hearing a station in English, and it said, "This is London." And for a ignorant 12 years old that I was like, "London, Ontario, Canada?" Turns out it was a BBC in London, England. So, but I didn't know back then at all. I learned that later on. My first real shortwave radio, the one that I can say the reason I'm here, the reason this is happening, the realistic DX-100. Actually, one of the things I want to do is take it out, put it on the desk, hook it up in some way to the MLA30, and do some live tuning with that radio, that DX-100 from the good old days. I still have it, still works great at some point. That was the first real radio that now I knew what I was doing, thanks to a very small but very good manual that explaining this is what you're going to get with this radio, and this is what shortwave is all about. That manual explained to me international broadcasts, aircraft, aeronautical communications, marine communications, amateur radio. It gave me the bands to go scan through to hear all of that. That manual explained to me what a QSL card was, which I was so curious that I thought, I'm going to write to one station. You're a kid. It's like, I'm going to write to one station. I'm sure it's not going to work and nobody's going to answer me back, but I'll write to one station. And I'll see if it works. And of course it did work. And so that was in 82. That's why this year in August, I'm not sure yet what exactly we're going to do, but there's going to be something special in August, a special live show. Because in August of 1982 is when I got my first real shortwave radio. That was my radio. And I started listening to the world and was hooked. So in August of 2022, 40 years, we're going to have something special happening. And I don't know yet. I'm thinking about what it could be and how it's going to be done. But I think it's going to be something that, it's going to be something. I want it to be special. It's going to be 40 years of shortwave. And the reason that I am here, that realistic DX100 started all of this. Matt, just looked and it appears you uploaded your first video in August 2012. You'll have a milestone anniversary. So also, August 2012 is 10 years of 40 years of shortwave, 10 years of the YouTube channel. So that's going to be kind of cool, Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Greg, for the Texan PL 680, you'll have a good radio if that's what you feel like you want to have as a radio. It's a nice radio to have and to own. Dwight, nice to have you here from Coastal Virginia, WA4532 SWL. MDK2, Denver's largest Asian community is Vietnamese, so lots of good Vietnamese cuisine to be had. Montreal is nice for that. We do have a very, very, very nice choice. Well, the multi-ethnic, with the multi-ethnic population of Montreal, we have amazing restaurants of almost pretty much anything. So Montreal, we're in a good place in Montreal for all of that. Actually, Montreal has a few things that are very, very unique, and one of them, and I remember reading about it. So when Pizza Hut, when they arrived in Montreal, one of the very unique thing of Montreal is the amazing amount of local corner street pizzerias. So when people wanted pizza, they would order at their local restaurant that's corner street. So it was like, Italian families that were established here that started their little restaurant or whatever, and so on. And but when I was young, when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, big chains of pizza did not exist much. We would order pizza from mostly from a local pizzeria, family owned or whatever, because that was the thing. And in Montreal, there were a lot of those. And there's still a lot of those because that's where we order, and that's where I order pizza. I don't eat Pizza Hut. I don't eat pizza at a big chain restaurant. I usually don't like their pizzas, rather, most of the time. For me, Pizza Hut is a once a year thing because it tastes different from everything else. But apart from that, I order from my local pizza here. That's two corners from here. They're one of the best pizzas in Montreal. And there's a few spots in town that I know about, oven, wood oven, stove pizza and stuff like that. But when Pizza Hut came to Montreal and to Quebec in general, they would actually test some of their pizzas that they would actually have across Canada here first. Because in an interview, one of the guys at Pizza Hut said, it is known that if a pizza doesn't take in Quebec, it means it won't work anywhere else. Because there's so many pizzerias in Quebec that they are very, very finicky on what they like or not. And so they would test a lot of new pizzas here first. And if it was a success, then it's like, yeah, okay, let's roll it. It's a success here. Should work for everybody else. So, let me try to get a little faster here. Yes, there is a place called Charlemagne in Quebec. Absolutely. Tarek, nice to have you on board from Cairo, Egypt. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? What else do we have? If I can go a little faster here. sing happy birthday in the chat. Man, thanks for the birthday wishes, everybody. What else do we have? Dean Watson, nice to have you on board from Western Virginia. Tarek, DRM issues, same applies for Radio Marti. Who would be listening to that in Havana? Yeah, absolutely. When Radio Marti was like, DRM, really, for Cuba. Do you guys really know what you're doing? DRM in Cuba? Can you wake up for a second there? What else do we have? Matt, the thing that makes the DRM push completely hard to believe is that DRM capable receivers so expensive can get a great AM shortwave receivers. They're cheap, not DRM. Yep, absolutely. Wild Vision, do you get Shannon involvement where you are? Absolutely. Shannon actually should be. Let's try the 25 megahertz is still coming in. Let's try 5505. Don't know if it's coming in right now. So it's still early here for that, but that's 5505. It's weak, but it's going to get stronger as we get into the evening. I hear a few other frequencies also. I usually hear, 3413, 5505. What else do we have? David White, Russian numbers on, Cuban numbers on 16180 right now. So let's check out 16180. How strong it is right now here. 16180. Yeah, not bad of a signal. Not sure they're right now transmitting any. It's more of a carrier now. Sheldon Harvey, you share your birthday with Carl Palmer of ELP, director Spike Lee, guitarist Jimmy Vaughan, the brother of Stevie May. Oh, Jimmy Vaughan. Yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay, so the brother of Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's interesting. I never thought to look at my birthday and see who else is. Or JD Dakota, people in Africa can't afford DRM setup. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Brazil, same thing for Brazil. When the Brazilian system said, "Hey, we're gonna broadcast to the natives of Brazil in DRM." Are you kidding me? Who's the idiot that thought about that? You know, come on. And you need such a good signal, like Catalin says. You need such a good signal, to have good decode. Um, I doubt that's going to happen, Dr. Sisup. I'm going to tell you, in 20, we'll talk about it in 2024 for the HD radio. What else do we have? Keegan, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. What else do we have? Bruce says we are like bottles of wine. The older we get, the better we get. I hope so. I have the impression that as I'm getting older, I'm whining more on all sorts of things. Dave Conte, nice to have you here from the Bronx. Notice Radio Amazonas 11780 has been heard recently. Let's check it out. Seems to be off. I don't hear it now. So it's been missing for a few days. I heard it. When was the last time that we heard it on last week's tuning of the bands? So on Wednesday we heard it Wednesday night. It was coming in well. And I'm pretty sure I heard it the next day, maybe Thursday. So, but right now it doesn't seem to be on. So I don't know if something's happening. So, MW2 Informer, do you see more lower power amateur run stations in North America like the one in Maine? Yeah, well, they're not that low power, but they are lower power than the big gun broadcasters, except for that WBC Q9330. I think what's going to happen in North America is a lot of the private broadcasters will maintain, and hopefully things like the stations like WRMI is going to help maintain relays of other broadcasts for sure. Oh, man. Yeah, Daniel. Hope that, it's such a complex thing with that Brother Stare crap. Brother Stare crap. What else do we have? So this is okay. If I missed out on anything, just don't hesitate to repeat it. Anything else here? Anything else? Joe Spring. Many years ago, I tried to start a community radio station in Flagstaff, Arizona. Talk about a hassle. Local stations, AM, FM stations are very, very difficult to start, both in the US and Canada. It takes a lot of money, a lot of paperwork, a lot of, justifying everything. It's a really tough thing to go by, honestly. What time, Jess? What time in New York is 20 GMT? 20 hours UTC or GMT is right now 4 p.m. in New York. Same as Montreal. We're on the same. We're on the same time zone. And the winter time it's 3 p.m. and the summertime it's 4 p.m. So and right now we're at 4 p.m. What else do we have? Let me just go down as fast as we can. RJ Dakota, I've been listening to Czech Radio, WRMI, fascinating listening. It's a nice broadcast. I like Radio Prague. It's a very interesting broadcast. And lately they've been having quite a few they've been coming to a few kind of personal observations of what's happening with Russia, Ukraine, and all of that. It was kind of interesting also. Take care, Christian Marcoux. Fais attention à toi. À la prochaine. What else do we have? Jess is in Pennsylvania. RJ Dakota says a couple of meter band could have been set aside for DRM bands, but that didn't happen. That's how it should have been, honestly. You want to do DRM, it should have been on a specific band. You like put DRM there, One of the things that's interesting about Europe, many countries have decided that DRM could be used as a local broadcast, and they set aside the 25, 26 megahertz spectrum for DRM stuff, which is kind of interesting. Randy, nice to have you here from Riverside, California. Bo Busher, nice to have you here from New York. RJDA Dakota, my uncle had a big portable shortwave radio labeled Sears. Yeah, because here it was purchased. The multiband that I was talking about was purchased at a thing called distributor consumer, like it was consumer distributing was the name in English. And so, I told you guys about that weird store that we had. It's a weird chain of store. It was like you had a storefront and there was a counter, and you'd see these boxes coming out of somebody would push a box across a window or something. And what you would do is you would go, there was catalogs on the front. You would look at the catalogs, choose what you want. It had a number. You would put the number on a little piece of paper with your name. You would give that to the girl or the guy at the counter, mostly girls at the time. And then you would wait. And when they call your name, you had two choices. Very often it was, we're sorry, we don't have it anymore. Or it was, here's your stuff. So that multiband radio came out of that store. So that's why I don't know of a brand. So it couldn't have been a Sears brand or stuff like that because it was not from Sears. It probably was one of those weird named brands mostly. And so I would I recognize it. That's the other thing. The other day I was thinking about searching multi-band receivers of the late 70s and early 80s. But there were a lot of radios that were made with those little, flip thing with the world map on top and from different brands. So I thought, would I recognize today that multi-band radio from that time? I'm not sure if I would recognize it, actually. Michael just came in from a spring cleanup outside. Nice to have you here from northern New Jersey. Tarek, being in Alexandria, close to Abyss Transmitting Station, I can tune in to Radio Cairo on shortwave now on 9910 kilohertz. Danielle, Mark LeBlanc, with multiband radio you had back then a Venturer by any chance? Big black radio with silver knobs. Look, it really looks like something like that. It was black and chrome. I do remember that. Black and chrome was the colors of it. And it came out of the consumer distributing. So it was kind of odd. The realistic DX-100 I'm talking about, Dr. Sisop, did not have, you're probably talking of another DX-100, did not have FM on it. And it was an analog radio, so there was no 9, 10 kilohertz thing. So you're probably talking about another radio. Yeah, live ETC for aircraft, Richard, absolutely. Tim, nice to have you here from South Germany. What else do we have? Joe Spring got a PL660 and used a daily good radio, but hard to tune SSB with the BFO. You know, it's a question of really doing it a lot that you eventually get the hang of it. But a BFO definitely is a little harder to tune around. Harold Anderson, nice to have you here from Oslo, Norway. LB1NH, nice to have you on board. Trustin, nice to have you here from Newfoundland. Ordered a PL330 this week. Looking forward to it, given supply chain problems and price increases. 330 could be my last new radio for a while. Well, you'll have a good radio, so I think you're going to be okay with it. Chuck, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Sheldon Harvey, yes, for those who want to join. It's that time again for annoying you guys with a Zoom meeting coming up. March 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 19 hours Universal Time. We are gathering everybody here and on the Facebook group for a meetup. We want to see you guys. I want to see what you guys look like. You guys see me all the time. If you don't want to, if you're camera shy, doesn't matter. You don't have to show your face. You can just be there with audio or, just participate. It's going to be a fun interaction, great group of people that are going to be here and we're going to be together. Once again, it's not replacing the live shows or anything. It's a little experiment. It's a little time where we're going to share together, and it's going to be a time where I can, and we can all learn a little more about each other, who we are. So that's going to be a fun thing, I think, that everybody is going to be there sharing and together on a Zoom meeting. It's free. You just need to, you don't need to do an account for Zoom or anything. All you need to do is click the link that Sheldon just shared. There, enter your name, enter an email. You'll receive a passcode to get on the show next week, and a link, a passcode, and everything that you need to get on the live Zoom meeting next week on Sunday, March 27th, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, for 19 hours before 19 hours UTC. And it's a great occasion for all of us to meet up. Like I said, it's free, and it's just to have a little more than just what we have now. I mean, I see you guys in the chat room, but it's kind of fun if we can have a little more interaction together. And I think it's going to be great, great moment. And all that is thanks to the Canadian International DX Club, CIDX. If you haven't ordered your messenger, if you don't know what the Canadian International DX Club is, cidxclub.ca is where you can go to. cidxclub.ca. Go check it out. You can ask for a sample copy of the messenger. Great little publication every month, a PDF. So thanks to the Canadian International DX Club Thanks to Sheldon Harvey for being able to have the Zoom platform available for this unique event, which will be a very, very interesting event where we can learn a little more about who you are. You guys know a lot about me. How about me knowing a little more about you? That's going to be a fun little thing. Marvin Mutz, do you think that Radio Free America shortwave station will spring up along with the lines of RT to give a voice to journalists like the one RT sponsored? I don't know. I don't know what will happen with all of that, honestly. So yeah, WTWW is the only station that doesn't play Brother Stare crap. Absolutely. Tarek Stare is on 1395 from Armenia, 19 to 21. It's like that 5900 that I hear all the time from Bulgaria. It's like, oh man, come on. Thunder, I just got into shortwave listening. Any tips? I have a Texan R9012. Any tips? The best tip I can probably give you with just a little portable like that is to go outside. If you can go to a park, tune around with the radio and a little further away from the homes, and that lower noise that you'll get because you're not near all the electronic stuff, you'll be surprised at what that R9012 can actually receive. And the best times, try later in the afternoon and evening. You're going to be pretty surprised because it's a fairly sensitive radio you got there. And welcome to the world of shortwave. Jim Gordon, here in Scotland on 6265 at 1435 station using the old Radio Prague forward left interval signal intro music, a ghost or a pirate. Some pirate. I've heard on one of the QESDRs somebody playing some old communist era interval signals over the buzzer a couple of days ago. George, nice to have you on board from Mexico. Nice to have you on board. Stuart, nice to have you on board from Northeast Ohio, W8STU. Sheldon Harvey, Ron in Florida says you and me should be admitted to the Radio Hall of Fame for our efforts in keeping the shortwave radio listening hobby alive. Yes, we should. We are Radio Hall of Fame guys for that. Absolutely. You even more with all the years and all the stuff you've been doing. I'm more of kind of a fairly recent guy, but I think our efforts are worth that. Absolutely. Michael, Lloyd's shortwave. No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was one of the big brands. I remember a name. If it would have been a Sony or a Lloyd's or anything like that, I would have remembered that brand. The fact that I can't remember the brand means it was one of those weird brands that is like just didn't ring a bell. I would say. George asked, what do you think about the cobweb antenna that's announced on WTWW lately? Is it a good option? So, what else do we have? Greg had the DX-1000 or 100, you mean, receiver with a string broke. Chris Powell, nice to have you here from Minneapolis, AE0IY. Robert Osborne, have you heard of Fire Drake Jam? I haven't heard of Fire Drake in itself in a little while now. Maybe a couple of months. They've been using more and more the CNR1 instead. And I like the Fire Drake much more. So, yeah, Terry Cook, I saw the video about using the Whisper mode, the WSPR mode, and trying to find the lost MH370. Kind of interesting idea behind it. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's kind of interesting. Unknown. Nice to have you here from Northern Colorado. Yeah, Lloyd's Electronics. We had something Lloyd's. I don't remember what it was, but we had a Lloyd's something in over time in the home. Was it a stereo? I don't remember, or a radio. A long time I haven't heard about Lloyd's Electronics. Christopher, the best analog portable back in the day that performed so well was the Sony Earth Orbiter from '74. Beautiful looking radio with a pull-out map. Kind of interesting. Toobrook Tim. During the 70s, 80s, I carried a portable shortwave during overseas military deployments. Only way to get news. Yep. Joe Spring, my first radio was a GEP 990A. Separate shortwave and FM antenna. The shortwave antenna extended over 12 feet, as I recall. It was back in '66. Wow. Oh, man. Kind of interesting here. What was that radio? I would like to know what I was listening to. Carl Icon, Greece on 9420. Daniel Mark LeBlanc, still have that radio and also purchase it at Consumer Distributing. I have 4 radios, and that was my first radio going back at least 40 years plus, and it's still working well. That could have been one. I'd be curious to see if I could recognize one. Huh. So he bought it at Consumers Distributing. That's where it came from. I remember because I went with my dad, and I was like all super excited to get that thing. And we went, I remember also because we went to 2 different Consumer Distributings. The first one we went to didn't have them in stock. But the girl called the other one, which is a little further, and they said, oh, they have some in stock. So it's like, oh, I'm going to go there. And we went to the second one to get one. Pretty crazy. Take care, VT Radio. Always nice to have you on board. Oh, man. Candle. Yeah, I know there's a lot of Candle branded crap out there because everything Candle was kind of crap. Could have been a Candle radio. That's a good one. Maybe. I'm not sure. Dimitri, nice to have you on board, my friend. Joel, nice to have you here from Virginia Beach. Well, Toobrook Tim, I can tell you one thing is that even 25 years ago, I would not have been able to tell you what brand it was anyways. It's as if the brand name just didn't register in my head for some reason. I don't know why. Because later radios, I remember the brands. I remember the radios, their brands, and everything. You know, might not remember the model number, but I can remember the brands of radios. You know, I remember the DX-100, the realistic. I remember I had a clock radio, a Candle, a white plastic Candle, alarm clock, you know, with the time in front and everything. Pretty much at the same time. I had a with AM FM radio, of course. That radio was so funny because the Candle AM FM, when I tuned the AM band to listen to some of my music stations, because yeah, I'm that old. I'd listened to music on the AM back then. One of the stations that was weaker, I could hear Morse code. So obviously there was some shortwave bleed through because I was getting Morse code on one of my stations listening to music, which I always found kind of creepy and weird. James, listening to Greece on 9420 in Connecticut. What else do we have? RGA Dakota had a Toshiba AM/FM shortwave boombox. Rich, Atlanta, nice to have you here. Emerson Electronics. Even if you guys would tell me names, I just kind of... Dwayne, you can do a Zoom on an iPhone, no problem. You, if anybody has only a phone, Zoom platform works on an iPhone and on an Android phone or tablet. you'll be okay. You'll be able to join in. You can even join in with the iPhone's camera and all. It's going to work, Dwayne. No problem. Daniel McLeblanc purchased a Grundig Satellite 800 yesterday from a ham radio operator in Moncton. The receiver is in mint condition. It seems to work well. Do you think that might have been a poor choice? From what I know, the Grundig Satellite 800 is not a bad radio. As long as you didn't pay too high of a price for it, it's not a bad radio. You're gonna have fun with it. Christopher, the worst radio I ever had was an Amstrad World and Dreadful receiver from 1982. Man. RJ88 Dakota, something like a GP5. Have you ever noticed that there isn't a label in front of the county com radio? Yeah, they are Texan receivers, so they are probably they're branded on the back. It's printed on the back, but probably because of the fact that they are Texan branded in general. I think that could be a possibility of why there's nothing on the front. Because if you look at it here, I got the two of them here. So this is the PL68, and it says at the bottom that it's a PL368. But if you look at the county conversion, it does show just that it's GP7 SSB. It doesn't give it doesn't give the name either on the other one. It just says it PL368. So it's kind of the same. It doesn't say Texan in front. Oh, it says Texan on the up top, where it doesn't say Texan or Conicom on the top on this one. So you got a model number on the bottom, but you don't have Conicom here, where the 368 has Texan on the top with the model number on the bottom. So, I write 61. Nice to have you here. Happy weekend to you too. Keegan remembers hearing classical music on 1660 Kansas City and classic hits on 1700. Wow. Dimitri, how's Zoom meeting are going? A lot of people are signing up. Yeah, we're 100 and close to 120. So we're gonna be it's gonna be cool next on Sunday the 27th. Thunder, I just think a piece of technology from the early 1900s that was still in use today, and I can hear broadcasts from all around the world. Just too cool to pass up. Hey, the Proud Geek. That is the famous nephew. I'm going to eat sushi, and we're going to have our mutual birthday party night together. And the wall's on fire. Everything's all right. You know how it is here. The wall's on fire. Yeah, it's okay. Next. it's my firewall to prevent Russians from hacking into my live shows. So Proud Geek is Gabriel, my nephew. He actually participated in a few live shows over time with Shortwave. He's got my Texan PL 450 that I gave to him several years ago, and so nice to have everybody here. Nice to have all of you here. Have to add log to the fire. It's been burning and burning and burning. Actually, we don't see it very well, but it's an outside fire, and there's kind of a Rocky Mountain background. But the Rocky Mountain background, you might see it a little bit here, but we see mostly the fire here. Daniel Mark LeBlanc, Consumer Distributing, sold the Ventura brand of multiband radio. It had air, CB, TV, Shortwave 1 and 2, police emergency. I had the front handles that made it look military of sorts. I'm going to have to look at that. Ventura brand of radio. I'm curious. Ventura multi-band receiver consumer see if I can just see anything that would maybe like make me wake up. So there wasn't a big antenna on top of it. That I know. That one has a big antenna on top of it. Let me just check that out here. Yeah, I'm trying to see. What I see there is not what I recognize, because I remember the Venturer that I see here pop up is the one. There's a big antenna on top. The one that I had back then, 1980. I'm gonna try something here. And radio is 1980. I did recognize one here. I had you guys make me realize I had the 1980s Hamstrad 6010 multiband. I had that, and the audio wore out at one point. For the rest, I don't know if I'd recognize it, but if I do one day recognize the multiband I had back then, dang. Crazy. There's a resembles that vintage Mark 1900. That kind of looks like, but that's not. There wasn't buttons on top like that. One day maybe I'll come across a picture of it and just be like, oh, that's the radio. There are so many radios that were done, multi-band radios of different styles and all. Pretty crazy when you think about it. Looking at all of that. Wow. Crazy. Crazy. What else do we have? Bo says his first shortwave radio was a Blaupunkt from a 66 Volkswagen. Worked great. Purchased the SDR Play DX. Cool. The Rockies are burning them. Is Easter a pirate radio holiday? Every holiday, every time you have a special holiday, it is always pirate radio time, because usually any type of holiday is good. Some are more intense than others, but definitely Easter weekend is pirate radio time. It's time to listen to radio pirates. There for sure there's going to be more than usual. Keegan 740 Zoomer Radio Toronto. Chris 66 running late. Nice to have you here from Kentucky. Thunder, what's the most distant broadcast you've received, and what radio did you use? Pretty much on all of my radios. I've heard Australia, which is pretty much the most distant broadcast you can hear on shortwave. And I was on I've heard that on pretty much all radios, whatever radio I've owned, except, a few that I didn't really try with. But for the most part, that would be, Montreal to whatever in Australia is pretty much the biggest distance you can make, pretty much. And I've had that on my original realistic DX-100 and on so many radios that I've had. for sure. Christopher, yep, I remember the Philips car shortwave receiver. That was one of them. It was advertised everywhere. I've never here in North America. I've never seen anyone with a car radio that had shortwave in it. Never, never. Carl Icon, why do the big shortwave broadcasters like AWR change frequencies from on the hour or half hour? Well, that's because most of the time, if they will change in a short amount of time, so let's say that in a 1 hour period of time, you'll have the English broadcast on one frequency, and 30 minutes you'll have another English broadcast, but a shift frequency. The reason is the target audience has changed. So what's going to happen is they might be broadcasting from one area, say Madagascar, to a specific area. And for that time and that audience, that area, that frequency they chose is what they deem to be probably the best. And then they'll shift to another audience in a different part of the world or a different target area. And because each target area, if you're closer to the equator, if you're in a different continent, the distances that you have to cross, the time that the broadcast is happening, then they'll be shifting to another frequency because it's a better deal with that area. So, an example, say that from Madagascar, you're broadcasting to West Africa. And half an hour later, the same Madagascar will be broadcasting to South America. What's going to happen is, depending on the time of day, they're going to check one, the best frequency for the single hop broadcast that they're going to try to get from Madagascar to West Africa. And remember that the higher the frequency, the bigger the hop. So if you are on 6 megahertz, you'll have one hop that will be this big on a map. But if you are on 17 megahertz, that same hop, because it actually goes higher, will be twice the length. So you'll choose your frequency depending on the distance, the amount of daylight. Is it half day and half night? There's so many things. It's a complex. It's a complex thing to choose an actual frequency for a broadcast on shortwave. So they might have 4 30-minute broadcasts and all on different bands because different target areas. One will be further away, some are closer, some are halfway in daylight, some are total daylight, some are total darkness. So they'll be shifting their frequencies for that reason mostly. So in a short period of time, that's the best way. And longer periods of time, of course, you'll go with the different, nighttime broadcasts will be on lower frequencies and daytime on higher frequencies and so on. Sunny LM, nice to have you here from Australia, listening to VOA West Africa, 9 to 10 UT on 720 kilohertz, clear in Sydney. Michael, his first radio was Lafayette Explorer V1 tabletop 1968 copper wire antenna. Wow. What UK? You to show you're listening, just purchased a Texan GR88. Also ordered a up converter for my RTL SDR. Oh, he's been interested since I was a kid. The important thing is to have fun, honestly. Just have fun. So, So, hey guys, like I told you guys, it'll be a little shorter today because I'm heading over to the Proud Geeks home for a night of sushi, drinking, and video games, and all sorts of weird things that uncle and nephew can do for going nuts on a birthday week. My nephew's birthday was on March 12th, and mine is tomorrow. So we're kind of going to share a night of goofiness and having fun and drinking um, to actually celebrate both our birthdays. So, hey guys, take care. Don't forget, last time, don't forget that if you want to join our Zoom meeting Sunday, March 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 19 hours UTC, even if you have a phone, Android, iOS, whatever, you can, of course, join us for that meeting. We're close to about 120 people right now. It's going to be a great time to meet you guys. Maybe see faces I've never seen before. Put a face on that name that I see in the chat room, which is really cool. If you don't want to see if you want to show your face, it's all right. You don't have to be on camera. A lot of people are camera shy. So just be there, anyways. And what you have to do is, of course, sign up, because that's how you're going to be able to get the passcode and the information. So the Zoom meeting link is here. Here's the Zoom meeting link. Just enter your name, email, and you'll be able to join and maybe see others, and share with others something that we don't really do here. We have a you know chat room, but that'll be a little more personal, and I think it's gonna be cool. So Sheldon says 121 registered, so this is kind of cool. Hope to see you there. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and thanks for everything, guys. See you next Wednesday for the next show, and of course next Saturday, and then the Zoom meeting. And I'm heading out. I'm hungry, actually, so I think the sushi is gonna be good. Heading out from my birthday, or the birthday party on my nephew. So take care, everyone. Stay safe. Love you all. And it's going to be a lot of fun to be back next week with our live shows right here. Take care, everybody. Dwayne, do you remember Popular Communications advertising Delco shortwave radios for cars? Yeah, that rings a bell. That rings kind of a bell. Yeah. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all.